Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our latest edition of Big Brother 22 All-Stars Live Feed Spoilers. This video is all about the veto. We know who played in the veto. We have questionable decisions surrounding it. We have mass grumpiness. Not by me. I feel like I'm doing okay. Not so high on a lot of things in the game, but I'm doing okay otherwise.
Yes.
We know, of course, what the veto was and who won.
Yep.
I don't even remember if I said who won, but anyway, let's do this. We're gonna dive in. Before we do, though, if you guys do enjoy this video, give us a like, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell, and support us further. Check those links to our Patreon and also our store.
And for those of you who are asking about the cupcakes,
Drum roll, please.
we will be making them tonight. They're cinnamon roll cupcakes. First time we're making them. You guys asked us to post some pictures on Instagram. We will be doing that tonight.
This is a lot of hype, and I should put out there in advance that I am not like a food design person. These will taste better than they look. That is the guarantee I can make right now.
So make sure you check it out.
Ringing endorsement. Okay, let's get into this veto, which I want to say there were high hopes for, but I think the reality is this is Big Brother 22. I don't know what we have to have high hopes for if you want chaos in this game.
Yeah, this is Big Brother 22 All-Stars, so there's no drama coming, folks.
Okay, well, we'll start with the veto players. Like, this was the chance that maybe we can have a chance to see something interesting happen here. If David was chosen, he competed, and he won.
Yep.
But David was not chosen. That part of it is like, okay. But then, Davon and Kevin, they were given house guest choice. Both of them got house guest choice, supposedly. And they chose Nicole and Danny as opposed to David. So David did not play of Davon and Kevin's own doing.
Yeah, and it in some ways feels like this is also then going to be further sort of tripping up Danny and Nicole, because there's already a little smoke around them right now, especially Danny, and I think having Davon and Kevin pick them is not helping their game.
It's also just not helping their game to not give, because maybe if David had won, he would have been like, I'm going to use this. I want to try to patch things up with Davon. She doesn't trust me. And, we talked a lot about this, and I don't want to dive into the rabbit hole again, but I have to say, some of it is David deserves the blame for screwing things up with Davon, but it's also Nicole and other people in that alliance deserve some credit for pulling off that move of making it seem like David didn't vote with them, and all of this leads to Davon and Kevin not going and picking them to play in the veto and not picking David. Ends up having a pretty dramatic result on this veto in the end.
Yeah, so let's get into the veto winner. The veto winner is Tyler, and you would think then that would mean everything would kind of go Memphis's way and he would get what he wants. And what he wants, shockingly to probably no one, is he actually wants David out. And the rest of the alliance wants out Davon, or they want out Kevin. They are not worried about David right now, but he wants David out. So even though he made this little deal with David beforehand, it doesn't mean anything. He wants him out.
Memphis doesn't care. Like, that can be the summation for Memphis in a lot of ways in Big Brother, but it's like he doesn't seem to care if he makes people mad. He doesn't seem to care if he tells his alliance the plan. He didn't say anything about what his actual plan was for this week until after the veto players were chosen.
Yeah, and it's kind of shocking that his alliance is mad at him, because he did this the first time he was HOH as well. He didn't tell anybody really anything. Anytime anyone came to ask him to talk about gameplay, be like, wait till after the veto, or wait till after this, or wait till... He talked to like nobody about anything, and now he's doing the exact same thing again when they should have like got him out of their alliance because they can't control him. He doesn't have any communication with them, so why did they keep him around? I don't know, because now they're in this position again with him.
You know how we talked a little bit about the wise guys, those alliances of 3 people that Memphis made 2 of them? Really, in Memphis's head, there's actually a 3rd alliance, and it's called the Wise Guy, and it's just Memphis, because that's really Memphis's only ally, and that is the only person he even remotely cares about in this game at all.
It's true. He just really feels that an alliance's purpose is to just vote and do what he wants.
Yeah.
They are the numbers, and that's it. There is no conversation.
Yeah, and he just expects them to feed him information, and then he's going to do sort of what he wants with it. And, he told Davon and Kevin before the veto, this is my plan. Don't worry about anything. You guys are going to be fine. And I think he's like, all right. I'm going to get everybody who's playing in the veto, like these people, they're all going to throw it. I don't need to worry about all of that. But then I think Tyler, because, we know Tyler and David, they're not BFFs or anything.
No.
But it's kind of sort of still a potential number for Tyler. It doesn't benefit Tyler if David goes right now.
Yeah, David is more of a number than Davon or Kevin. So, and I think for the rest of the alliance, they feel that way as well, that maybe they can work a little bit more with David, that, Kevin and Davon are a duo. We're back to that again, and that splitting them up is the right thing to do. So with Tyler now winning the veto, he can decide to not allow David to go on the block.
And this is our source of drama at this point. I mean, we have to sort of accept the fact, unfortunately, that we're probably going to be sad seeing anyone leave. Like, even if David had hypothetically played and won, let's say he removed Davon from the block, like, Kevin would still probably be going, and I'm sure that would probably be a little bit more tolerable for a lot of people out there than losing Davon or David. But still, we were going to lose one of these people on the outside of the vote.
Yep.
Anyway, it's just our drama now exists in seeing Tyler potentially just ticking Memphis off to no end if he decides to not play it.
Yeah, and unless Danny plays her power and Memphis can play again and wins again, I mean, it doesn't really matter if he upsets Memphis. What's Memphis gonna do about it? There's nothing to do.
Let's throw this out here now at this point, because if let's say Davon and Kevin remain on the block, and let's say Davon goes this Thursday, that duo is split up. I mean, are Kevin and David suddenly so dangerous that if you are Tyler and you win the next HOH and you're kind of working with David, are you going to just say, you know what? Screw this dude who's not telling me the plans until later on. I'm going to get Memphis out of here and probably make the house a lot less grumpy at the same time.
Yeah, I think, I thought the first time around that Memphis did this, that their crew was just going to get rid of him and bounce him. Because if you've got someone in your alliance that's not sharing information and they're doing whatever they wanted and they kept in Janelle and Kaser and didn't put them on the block, like they should have known back then that he's not actually working with them. They're just his tools to do whatever he wants. So if he ever wins again, this is where we are. So I could absolutely see this alliance deciding next week, if they're in power again, that Kevin's not really a threat, David's not really a threat, but Memphis is a problem now. So he got to go.
I will admit, I had a misguided tinfoil hat thing going for like an hour or two earlier, where I was just like sitting here with this thing on my head and just being like, maybe Memphis was trying to get Tyler out this whole time, and that was why he wasn't telling anyone the plan. I know he said the committee is safe. I am not of my own mind anymore. Like, let's make this clear. We are a month and a half into one of the most let down seasons of all time.
I think that's where it is. You're just looking for some drama because, this season of the BB22 All-Stars, it's just so dry.
I am looking for the Mountain Dew voodoo amidst the sea of regular Mountain Dew that is not as good or as exciting.
There is not much excitement.
But
we do now have a grumpy Memphis who is still trying to tell Davon and Kevin not to worry, that the plan is going to be okay. Okay, that's my awful Memphis.
Well, it's not like my Memphis impression is any better. Here's
better.
The guide to doing a Memphis impression. You just lower your voice a little bit and talk like you're a grumpy Southern person. I don't even know if Memphis is really that like Southern, other than that his name is a city in Tennessee.
Yeah.
It's just fun. That is the objective here. But yeah, Memphis, it's so funny because he's like, okay, I'm really thinking these people, Danny, Nicole, Tyler, they're just going to go throw this competition. Which, by the way, this competition was seemingly a maze, which Tyler did in Big Brother 20, and he did reasonably well in it. I think they did something similar in Big Brother Over the Top as well. So I don't exactly think it should be a shock to people who know this game that Tyler, who is by far probably the competitor in there and the greatest amount of total physical shape competing, would win this.
Yeah. There is time between now and sort of when everything is going to be going down with the actual veto ceremony. So, I mean, there is still a bit of time. It's just, I don't know at this point if Tyler or the rest of the committee, Blob Alliance, want to do anything that Memphis wants anymore. I think everyone is just really frustrated and they're over it. And if they are going to move forward and not use this veto the way that Memphis wants, Memphis needs to be worried, because that to me means that they have drawn a line in the sand and they are done with him.
The thing I find the funniest about all of this is that Memphis, at least, we came on pretty quickly after we learned who won the veto, but Memphis seems to be more annoyed at Danny for trying too hard to win than Tyler, who actually won the veto and may have been more likely, because if Danny wins, I think there's a good chance Danny's kind of sort of trying to work with Davon, and maybe Danny tried hard because she wanted to save Davon and sort of keep that women's alliance option there for her.
Yeah, and Christmas is throwing Danny under the bus, saying, you better watch, she's talking to Kevin, she's talking to Davon. So, I mean, that is, and then you've got house guest choice, and who did they pick? They picked Danny. So it's not looking that great for Danny either, depending on who wins going forward. If it's Christmas, she may actually go after Danny at this point.
This is why it was such, I think, in my mind, it's a bad thing for Nicole to lose Ian. And to a certain extent, it wasn't great for Danny to put him up either, because Nicole and Danny, they're not in any of Memphis's wise guy alliances.
Yeah, I think that this last eviction and losing Ian and Nicole and Danny not keeping him was the end of their game. I think that was the moment they needed to just move over to the other side of the house. And maybe I'm wrong, but they are becoming targets very quickly. They are at the bottom of that alliance. They are almost at the point that they're going to be taking shots at each other. I think it might have been better if they had just moved to the other side.
You know who's sitting right in the middle of all of this? Cody, who should have been a target like a month ago, because he's sort of like, I can sort of go and be in the wise guys, or maybe I can hang out with Danny. It's like he can kind of do whatever he wants. Nobody's coming after Cody.
Or Enzo, my guy Enzo, my winner's pick. It's happening, folks.
I watched a conversation with Enzo, and this is almost verbatim, this conversation. I'm not lying to you. Yo, that's it. Trust me, F-bomb, F-bomb. Yo, it is what it is. That's a new one we're adding to the list, by the way. It is what it is.
It is what it is.
It is what it is, yo. Trust me, F-bomb, yo. Like, he literally said yo, I believe 7 times in under 60 seconds. I counted.
Yo, that's my guy. Winner's pick.
I think it was Davon and Kevin, like, the other day. They were also kind of like, they actually managed to fully call out Enzo to each other and be like, you say something to Enzo basically just says the same thing right back to you, and you believe what he says.
Yes, it is an incredible sales technique. It is so, so good. And it is good that people are starting to recognize it. Not that I want him to not win, but, it is good that they're recognizing it, because it is a very strong sales technique.
We should also point out here, another wrinkle in the bizarreness of all of this is that after Memphis went into Davon and Kevin after the veto and was like, don't worry, I told them to throw it. They didn't throw it, but don't worry, the plan's still in place. Memphis leaves and Davon's is like, I don't believe a word of that. That's nonsense. And the total irony in all of this is Memphis is seemingly being genuine, and yet if Tyler doesn't use the veto, it is going to be, this was Memphis's plan all along. Yep. He has screwed us.
Yeah, and it totally makes sense. You got to believe what you see in this house more than what you hear.
I'm still just so, I think I'm just worked up because I don't know what to think anymore. My brain is just mush.
Don't worry, we're going to have cupcakes later, and it will all be all right.
I feel like
at least over here.
I'm gonna lose Devon by the time that I possibly would, because I feel like they're gonna get rid of.
It's not over yet. It's not over yet, guys. It is not over yet. Or we might lose your winner pick.
At this point, I'm more okay throwing Kevin into the metaphorical volcano of sacrifice than I am Devon. And don't get me wrong, neither one of them is playing a particularly good game. Like, they have both been played like nobody's business, but just from a likability standpoint, I would rather be wrong on my winner's pick and at least get entertaining confessionals than Kevin doing his, well, I'm just in the game again. No one wants to work with me. It's like, Kevin, you sort of screwed yourself a lot of this game and not wanting to work with anyone and all your other nonsense. You can't go full. Only I can go full Eeyore. And that's just because I played him in high school.
I think that if it comes down to these two, they are going to get rid of Devon. I think she is in huge trouble.
Yeah, I think the guys are going to want to split up, take away any possibility for Nicole and Danny, which hurts their odds moving forward even more.
They have really hurt their game, Nicole and Danny. Talking about the Girls Alliance, all this stuff with Devon, getting rid of Ian, like they have made a lot of mistakes in the past week.
They're shoving so much trust into Cody. And little do they know that Cody's number one is actually Enzo. Yo, you're my number one. Trust me, F-bomb. You're dead. It is what it is. All right, we will tie this up. We're going to go make cupcakes, and hopefully I can eat all those before I start crying that Devon's going to go. But
we will take a picture for Instagram first.
I hope they look okay. All right, what did you guys think about the Veto, the events of the Big Brother house? Let us know in the comments. And if you do like this video, give us a like, subscribe. Support us further. Check those links to the store, our Patreon, and we'll see you here next time.